Hey there, folks. It's CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's across the Red River from Bossier City, Louisiana. I will always want to invite people to come check us out. Okay, so this video is basically going to focus on one of my favorite movies from the uh, slasher horror genre of the 1980s. Now, this is 1982. In my, I think actually 1981 is probably the best, year for it because that was the year of the sequels, the Friday the 13th part 2, the Halloween 2 or whatever came shortly after that or whatever. But I mean, it's like, you know, Friday the 13th really Halloween kind of like let us know, hey, sequels are going to be here and they're not just going to be mysteries, but they're going to be scary. You know what I mean? They're not just going to be suspense, but they're going to be scary. Because until that time, if there was, like, say, a Black Christmas in the early 70s, or say Sisters, both of those featuring Margot Kidder in the 70s, and then of course we get to Margot Kidder did Amityville Horror, but that was a different genre. But we're getting into those earlier slashers. Both of those that she did were kind of like they were mysteries. They were like almost Brian De Palma like uh, mysteries. I actually think he may have had. I think Brian De Palma may have actually been involved with Sisters. It certainly had that split screen pacing and everything, so it looked like one of his movies. But those were mysteries. That's your uh, suspense movies with a little bit more amped up, you know, and but they weren't scary like Halloween. The 1978 was scary. Friday the 13th took the scare factor and bloodied it up. Let us know, hey, we're going to see throats get cut. We're going to see bloodshed and everything. It wasn't like the absolute torture stuff that we see today. That's horrible. It's like like I can't do some of that. It's like it's that's I'll leave that for people who are really misogynistic. I love a good scare and I love a good effect, but I don't need to see somebody beaten to death for uh, an hour and a half. So I think of movies like that. It's almost like I almost said it. I think of it as like torture porn or whatever. I don't need that in my life. Give me a good suspense. Give me a good scare. Give me some good effects, and then let that be it. And some of the at 1981, we got Friday the 13th Part 2 that let us know that the horror sequel, these movies were going to be franchises. So, uh, so the original, the OG Halloween, actually became the copycat when it came out with Halloween 2 and up the body count, and it was no longer, hey, here's the suggestive kill, but we're actually going to show, like a nurse getting her face frozen in carbonite, no, dry ice or something, and then smashed or something, yeah. So some grueling effects like that. Okay, so what else am I looking at? Uh, I was, 1982. We started getting some movies that were pretty rad. William Shatner's in this movie. I want to talk about. Now, it is not Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan that came out that same year, uh, and it is not a TV movie called The Babysitter. Uh, it is an actual movie that went to the theater. William Shatner's in it. It's not the only horror movie that he's done in his career. Uh, Michael Ironside plays a bad guy. Spoiler alert: if you're going to watch this movie, Linda Pearl is featured in this movie. Uh, Lee Grant is actually the lead, the lead femme fatale, and then Linda Pearl. So this, this movie came out somewhere around that time of Friday the 13th Part 2 and Halloween 2. And it's kind of like, the hospital slasher genre. It almost created a subgenre. There's a couple of other these slasher movies that actually take place in hospitals. That may be in part due to the movie Coma, that was based on a book, Coma, that was more of a mystery and suspense and very little slasher action. It was actually a TV movie, and then later on it got remade as another TV movie or something. Actually, was Coma a TV? I think it was. I think it was a TV miniseries based off the book. Anyway, the remake, Ellen Burstyn, man, does her thing. Um, okay, so visiting hours. Uh, Lee Grant is a television reporter, not too unlike uh, the TV reporter in the novel. When a stranger is watching, they made a movie about that. I remember reading the novel and one of my mother's Reader's Digest condensed novel thing of Bob's or whatever, one of those editions. They used to come out with those big binded books, and they would like take these novels and have like four novels in somewhat of a condensed form in one volume, but they weren't really that condensed. I think the thing that was condensed about them was the size of the print, because boy, did you have to squint. Okay, Lee Grant's TV reporter. She gets attacked by uh, crazed maniac played by Michael Ironside. I loved him best in V. You guys would know him from Scanners, makes people's head explode and stuff. Uh, and then a nurse taking care of her is Linda Pearl, and then I think William Shatner is like a producer or something like that that has a love interest in Lee Grant also. He may be even some suspect. There's some other people uh, in this movie. Obviously, you can't do a movie with just four people. But I'm trying to think, are there any that I just off the top of my head? I don't think any of them uh, just sing out to me as far as someone that I would know. Uh, there's a Neil Affleck. I wonder if he could be uh, related to Ben Affleck. Is it Ben Affleck or Affleck? I don't know. We have that Affleck insurance, and I think it's Affleck. Yeah? I wonder if this could be like a relative of him. I'll have to check that out. Uh, yeah, looking. Don't there's, but this is pretty. This is a pretty good list for a horror movie. A horror movie out of the early 1980s. Most people would become famous after their horror movie. Mm-mm. William Shatner had already made a few movies for the silver screen theater. Yeah, Airplane. A little bit. He was he was known as a comedic actor, but he also did this same year he did a TV movie, The Babysitter, with Patty Duke Ashton, formerly past Patty Duke, and soon again to be Patty Duke. But yeah, Patty Duke Ashton and William Shatner played the husband, and they hired Stephanie Zimbalist, who is uh, famous in some soap operas, I think, but also in some TV movies where I know her from. Stephanie Zimbalist. Uh, and she was a crazy. That movie is a freak out movie. If you ever want to see a TV movie from the 1980s, check out The Babysitter, starring Stephanie Zimbalist. Uh, that bitch is nuts. Okay, so but look at this. We have Michael Ironside, Lee Grant, Linda Pearl, William Shatner. Uh, None of them are Academy Award winning worthy, you know. Although William Shatner gets that whole dramatic reading, he could read a newspaper and he could read a newspaper and be entertaining, in his delivery. That's my terrible um, impersonation of William Shatner and his cadence that he has, taken a kind of a nonsense that sometimes when you speak and you're giving some dialogue in character, you break, you pause for effect, and it should make sense. That's the one thing about a dramatic reading. When you do pause for effect, it should make sense. It shouldn't just be, oh, let me just read something and be, you know what I mean? No, so it should be like natural conversation, even if you're gonna dramatize it, uh, if you're gonna do a delivery. Uh, but William Shatner is the only one I know who can just get up there and just like randomly pause in the middle of for no reason. Why are you reading it with this cadence? What is the reason? No one else reads like he does. And the closest would be Christopher Pine when he's really into that. Sometimes I hear inflections of Captain Kirk. You know, not William Pine, Chris Pine, Chris Pine, uh, Chris Pine. Okay, yeah. Anyway, what else are we doing? We're talking about this movie, Visiting Hours. There's some slasher action in it. It's a slasher movie. It's not so much of a mystery because you know what's going on. So it's a stalker uh, situation. Michael Ironside has played a lot of bad guys. He's also played some good guys. What I came to know him in my favorite TV sci-fi, the Final Battle. That's where he made his appearance in the second installment of that third part miniseries. And then, yeah, so yeah, let's find out what we can about this one actor. It's amazing who you find out, the connections that you find out when you look at some of these older movies and you'll see names. I love to do that. Neil Affleck, not Affleck, Affleck, and my brain is like, what am I doing? You want to do? Uh, I know he was also in My Bloody Valentine. Neil Affleck. He was in Scanners with, and that came out in 1981. My Bloody Valentine in 1981. Scanners with Michael Ironside, and they're both in Visiting Hours. And this movie, Cross Country, I don't know what that's about. A woman is found butchered in a New York apartment. Suspicion falls on her estranged husband. But it seems Michael Ironside's in that too. Dude. Neil Affleck and Michael Ironside were part of the same acting company. They made one, two, three horror movies back to back that they have in common. So, yeah, people talk about Scream Queens. There were Scream Kings. Uh, Now, I'm going to have to let you go. Love and light. I do love you. I'm about to watch Visiting Hours. Bye.